Former inmate sues Florida over bill restricting felon voting. Bonnie Racer has spent the last decade without the right to vote. The 58-year that goes into effect Monday means Racer likely won't be able to vote until 2031, when she's due to pay off $4,260 in outstanding fines and fees from a 9-year-old felony conviction. The mother of 4 had battled opioid addiction and was convicted on 6 felony drug-related charges in 2010, which she said stemmed in part from being caught selling 6 pills. She completed in last year's midterm elections. Florida voters overwhelmingly approved a that granted certain non-violent felons, such as Racer, the right to vote. Known as amendment, however, a bill known as SB 7066A into law by government. Ron DeSantis on Racer's lawyers say that's unconstitutional. They've filed a lawsuit. Danielle Lang, who is representing Racer and is co-director of the Campaign Legal Center's Voting Rights and Redistricting Program, said the law violates the 14th Amendment's Equal Protection Clause as well as the 24th Amendment, which prohibits poll taxes. Senior Elizabeth Warren. The American Civil Liberties Union has on behalf of 10 former inmates in the state of Florida. During the first 3 months of 2019, the Brennan Center number of eligible ex-felons who registered to vote was 100 times higher than in previous odd-number years due to Amendment 4's passage. It's unclear how many people like Racer could be affected by the new law. According to the Florida is one of a handful of states where fees and fines are the for courts. When Racer was released, she said $35 could. Racer pays $30 a month into a payment plan approved by a Florida judge. Under that timeline, Racer has since kicked her addiction. She uses what but proponents of SB 7066 point out that certain debt can be disputed through a judge. However, in an interview last month, before the bill was signed into law, Florida State Republic James Grant, the Tampa Republican, and a main architect of the bill, argues it provides much-needed clarity. Racer disputes that. A recent poll found Florida voters split on this exact issue. Estimates for some are accusing Republicans who passed and signed the bill into law of playing politics. Grant criticized it.
Raindrop, drop top, smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Cooking up, open the park pot.